Good evening, everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock on the dot. Please get a roll call.
Hello.
John Whitler.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Paul is excused. Alyssa will be arriving late.
I'm sorry, what?
I said Paul is not going to be here. He's excused, and Alyssa's going to be arriving late.
Oh, okay. Drew Woodworth and Mary Ann Springer.
All right, if we could all stand for pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe we have some teachers in.
Yep, I have Lori Yasek, principal at Sandown North. Can you just give us a little preview? I know we got a lot of folks here. Give us a little thing about what we're going to learn and maybe be able to talk about.
Down.
Thank you. Good evening. So I am super excited to bring a few of our grade 4 students, as well as Mr. Hamill, to join us this evening to share with you about sort of a passion project of mine that came to fruition last year, but then we really rolled out this school year. And in thinking about our students being able to share morning news, I'm sure many of you probably remember in your younger age in elementary school, middle school, maybe in high school, where the principal probably got on the intercom in the morning, shared some morning announcements. You heard that person's voice, but didn't really see anybody. Sometimes having kids join us on those announcements is really exciting too, but I really wanted to transfer that experience from myself onto students. I knew that there were probably students in our school that would be excited to be able to share with their school community daily news that's happening, getting them excited for the day. We have students currently at Sandown North that are on our newspaper team, and so they share their experiences in writing. And so I figured, I'm sure there are students in our community that instead of writing, they want to be the face of the news in the morning. And so with the help of Mr. Hamill, Ms. Summers, our tech teacher, Clay LaPlante, which a technology teacher in the district, and Christy Hubley really collaborating and working together to make my passion come to fruition has been really exciting, and I'm super excited for them to share it with you tonight. So I'd like to welcome them up here to join me. Come on up.
Come on up, guys.
You can either stand or sit, up to you. Whatever you're more comfortable with.
I like my shirt. Very sharp.
You need to, where's that? Yeah, there you go.
Damn.
This button, am I good?
Yeah, I guess there too.
Alright, I'm starting that. Okay, you have to click it, yeah.
You guys want to introduce yourselves first? Something to read your say your names.
I'm Michaela and I'm in 4th grade.
Welcome, Michaela.
I'm Max and I'm in 4th grade.
Welcome to you, Max.
I'm Riley and I'm in 4th grade.
Good to meet you, Riley.
I'm Brayden and I'm in 4th grade.
Also good to meet you, Braden.
I'm Scarlett and I'm in 4th grade.
Great to have you here, Scarlett.
Take it away.
4th graders record next week's message. Mr. Hamill and Miss Gerzak write a script for us to read. We have 2 students who are anchors.
We introduce the day.
We do a national day, like Tuesday was National Teacher Appreciation Day.
We also do a bad joke.
We close the day's show. One person who does the birthdays. I say the students with birthdays today or the ones over the weekend or vacation. One person who does our top story. I start off with the word of the month. I then give a story or example that are connected to the word of the month. I finish with a quote that is connected with the word of the month. One person who does one school, one book.
Every person at our school has a copy of the Law of Robot Everyone is reading it. I remind them places to go to answer questions to get raffle tickets.
Mr. LaPlante, Miss Hubley, or Mr. Hamill record us and then they edit the videos. Mr. Hamill sends a link to all the teachers the next week, and all the classrooms watch our morning message as part of their morning routine. We try to keep the videos to about 3 minutes. Here's an example.
Good morning. Welcome to Sandown North School News. I'm Max.
And I'm Michaela.
Today is Thursday, April 17th, 2025.
Observed annually on April 17th, National Haiku Poetry Day encourages all to try their hands in creativity. Haiku poetry is a form of Japanese poetry that is non-rhyming and usually consists of 3 lines with a syllable pattern of 5-7-5. Have you ever written a haiku?
Each year on the third Thursday of April, we observe National High Five Day. This is a fun day where you can high five everyone that you see. That's what we're rally for today's birthdays.
Thanks. Today we have 2 birthdays to celebrate. Connor O'Rourke and Madison Russell. You can head down to the office to get your birthday pencils. Happy birthday. What kind of shoes do frogs wear in the springtime?
I don't know what.
Open toed. Thanks. The Love Robot continues to get better and better. This week we are reading chapters 42 through 50. In chapter 37 from last week, what is the first thing Ross says to Brightville? After his name, of course. Remember, you could also go around town like the post office to answer trivia questions for chances to win prizes. Now to Brandon for our top story.
Thanks. The word of the month in April is fairness. Today I have a situation that needs to be addressed. I'm hoping you can imagine being of the 3 different characters in this problem and think about how each one feels. During a dodgeball game, student 1 often throws the ball at other players' heads, which is against the rules. Student 2 asks to sit out during the dodgeball game because he has been hit in the head several times. Student 3 is a fair and good player, but is bothered that their friend doesn't want to play and that the first player isn't following the agreed upon rules. How do you think each other player feels? You can pause the video to discuss. Do you have any suggestions how these players can resolve this unfair situation? You can pause the video to discuss. This week's quote of the week is, people can overcome their differences and when united move toward a world of greater fairness and justice, as in folk music. Each person has a unique role to play, said by Peter Yarrow. Back to you.
That's all for today. Have a wonderful day, Sandown North.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
So that's what we do every single week, and we do it with a different group of 4th graders, and they get to choose. Most of this group has done it multiple times now, and they want to keep coming back, so it's great news. So any questions you want to ask them, feel free, and maybe they'll get an answer.
Go ahead, Dr. Martin.
Thank you. I have a question for Max. Max, I noticed that you have quite a flair for your attire in the video and here this evening. Who is your tailor? Who selects your clothing? I'm very impressed.
So I mostly like to choose, and I give all the credit to all the amazing people across the universe that make different types of clothes. And I personally love clothes. You can see.
Yes.
I honestly just found this in my mom's closet. But
well, I'm impressed, Max. You have style, man. You have style.
Thank you.
It's a question, it's a silly one, the laugh. Was that ad-libbed or were you told to do that?
We're told to do that. It says fake laugh on the script.
You nailed it.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Go ahead. So when you do your roles, like you switch on and off, so do some of you like the 2 anchors? So have you guys done like other, like you'd say the joke sometimes, like you switch roles when you do it?
Good question.
Yeah. So every day it's basically like a transition. So the first day, we'll lead off with the date and our names, and one day the first person A will say that, then the next day, and then they'll do the joke second person 2, and then they'll finish the joke with person A, and then they will keep rotating positions throughout the week.
Do you, when you are in your classes or at lunch or at recess, do your classmates ask you about the newscast? Do they ask you questions? Do they make any comments? Like, are you a celebrity at your school?
Not really.
Not really, not in 4th grade though, but in 1st and 2nd grade, they are celebrities.
Oh, yeah, that.
Great. Thank you guys. That was really great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So great.
Send us some more videos. We'll continue to watch them.
Yep.
Keep it going. Thank you so much, Sandown North.
Thank you.
It's gonna be president. Right?
No, they don't.
I was talking about. My mom's closet. That's very funny. Oh my God. It's sad though.
I know. That's good. I was like,
Oh, no.
hi guys, thank you.
That's so cool.
I was like, I wanted to talk about the bollards. I wanted to.
Yep. You have to meet both sides of it, it's no one in terms of learning, right?
Yeah.
That's deeply challenging.
All right, next, while we're waiting for them to filter out, is approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from April 17th.
Bree made a motion to approve the minutes. Seconded by Marianne. Any discussion on those meeting minutes?
Very well written, thank you.
All right. All those in favor? Opposed and abstain. 6-0-1. Okay. Do we have any delegates or individuals?
No, we don't.
All right, can I get a motion to move the 30 minutes to the end of the meeting?
So moved.
Mark made the so
Oh,
moved,
sorry.
and then Shauna, you want a second?
Sure.
Shauna seconded. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. All right, cool. No people here to oppose now.
Not today.
Student rep.
Perfect. So for updates, beginning for updates at the high school, many honor societies have been holding their induction ceremonies starting this week and leading into late May as well as the end of the school year. AP exams have officially begun and will be reoccurring in the following 2 weeks. National Honor Society has their annual car wash partnering with Sullivan Tire this Saturday. All proceeds will go towards the NHS senior scholarships. Senior prom is next Friday, May 16th, with the senior meeting also taking place the day before on Thursday the 15th in the PAC for the screening of Fatal Reality. And Big Buddy Little Buddy Day is going to be on May 20th, where high schoolers will be able to meet with their 3rd grade buddies that they have been corresponding with over the past couple of months. So a pretty fun day outside in the spring weather on the track, being able to meet teachers in the classrooms throughout the day as well with their big buddies. It's just going to be a day full of fun. At the middle school, 13 seniors gave a tremendous presentation to the 8th grade students, sharing their experiences and offering a valuable advice as the 8th graders get ready for their transition to high school. And 7B students are preparing to present their Make a Difference projects tomorrow in the cafeteria at the middle school. Families are invited to attend, support the students, and participate in the fun by voting for the Parent Choice Awards in a variety of the categories for this project. At Atkinson Academy, grade 1 received a visit from Wildlife Encounters today, a program that brings a variety of small animals to the academy. During this presentation, students learned that animals use their various body parts to help grow and survive, as well as the biodiversity in nature. May 16th will be the grade 4 state parade. So students are responsible for researching a state and creating a float, which represents facts of the state that they chose. The students parade around the school, displaying their floats for all to admire. May 20th and 21st will be when grade 2 students will explore their community throughout Atkinson by stopping at important landmarks around the town, including the Historical Society, the fire station, the police station, the Kimball Library, as well as the Atkinson Village Store. And May 20th marks the day that author Rob Bouye will visit Atkinson Academy and present to the 4th and 5th grade students on the skills and determination that is needed to become a successful writer. At Pollard Elementary, Pollard honored their artistry poems with a small school assembly on Arbor Day. So congratulations to all of the winners and participants of this literary based competition. At Danville School, grades 4 through 7 chorus concert that happened before break showcased some of the great talent within our district. So thank you to Mrs. O'Leary and the others who helped to prepare the students for this performance. The 2nd and 3rd grade students will experience Gizmo's Possum Guide to Mental Health tomorrow, which will include a visit from a very special service dog. So a special thank you and shout out to the Southern Rockingham Coalition for Healthy Youth, which is the SOROC Foundation, for making this event happen for the students. And the annual PTA Sweetheart Dance is happening tomorrow as well to cap off the week at Danville. At Sandown Central at TLC, congratulations to both Sandown School's principals for the day, Enzo and Hannah, who will be working alongside Mrs. Rivers and Mrs. Yasek tomorrow during the school day. The Sandown PTA ran a calendar fundraiser, and Enzo and Hannah sold the most calendars within the Sandown buildings to earn this special day with their principals. And the PTA is hosting a family game night tomorrow, May 9th, from 5 to 7 in the gymnasium at Sandown School. And at Sandown North School, Hampstead Middle School visited Sandown North for an anti-bullying presentation right before spring break. Students in grades 3, 4, and 5 enjoy learning from the Hampstead students who had great messages to share with Sandown. Sandown also had Kevin Skarupa, which is a popular weatherman from WMUR, visit with their grade 3 classes to talk about the weather. And they even made it onto the news the following morning where Mr. Skarupa talked about his visit with Sandown as well as showing the t-shirt that he had received from the students, which I thought was pretty cool. Author David Benricky visited both Sandown and Atkinson this week, and he is known for his popular books such as Sumo Kitty and Me and My Dragon. And to cap things off, Sandown girls on the run team had their practice 5K this afternoon to prepare for the official 5K in Concord, which will be taking place on Saturday, May 31st. So that is kind of my update for the night, so thank you.
Thank you. A lot of good stuff going on.
Yes, very much.
Every time I hear it, I remind myself that there's nothing going on in the district.
Yeah. A lot of information, but really cool.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
All right, next up for current business, Mr. Patterson, I believe you're gonna be up here for a little bit. You also doing the overnight trips too?
Yes.
But first up, evolution of games curriculum.
Good evening. Second read of Evolution of Game, the updates to that curriculum. So didn't know if you had any questions or if there was anything you needed me to give to you, information.
I was just wondering where it says it draws competencies from social studies, world language, art, and business. So does that mean the teacher that teaches this course would be in one of those disciplines?
So the teacher who's currently teaching that course is actually certified in both. It was certified or certifiable in special ed, computer science, and mathematics. And this course, although it has competencies and draws from each of those areas, it's actually just an elective credit. So it's not like it's getting credit for social studies or world language. It's just where those ideas and those competencies have come from. So it's a course that's pulling from a lot of different areas, but it's not like it needs a certification in a specific area.
Any other questions? You said nothing's changed from last time it was in front of us.
Correct. There's no changes from the first read.
Make a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of the evolution of games curriculum revision.
One second. Motion made by Shauna, seconded by Bree. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstains. Okay. Next is some overnight trips.
So the first overnight trip in your packet is a potential overnight trip. It's the Envirothon competition. So this is, we're sort of preemptively asking for permission for this trip. The past 2 years, the high school Envirothon team has won the state championship, which then allows them to go on to the national championship. That state championship is not taking place till May.
Okay.
The national championship then takes place in July, and it's an overnight trip. It's actually in Canada, and it's been great for the past, like I said, the past 2 years. Our Timberlane team has won the state. They've been invited to go to the national. We are, I guess, confident that we're going to be able to do this a third time and send those kids on to the national competition. So we're asking in advance to have permission to go to the national competition in case we win the state and get invited to go to the national.
Who would cover the cost driving to Boston?
So driving, I know that Envirothon is covering the cost of a number of things, driving to Boston.
So it says they get them from the airport to the campus, so I just didn't know how they were gonna get to the airport.
Getting from us to the airport, at this point, it's either gonna be probably the families. We haven't looked into getting a bus to go from the high school down to the airport. So at this point, it's looking like it's probably just gonna be the families of those students.
Any other questions? And this is the same place that they've gone the last 2 years?
I think it's a different campus. It's been in Canada, but it's a different campus that they're at this time. Or last year it might have even been in New York. It was drivable the last 2 years. This year it's they've gotta fly.
Okay.
Because of the distance.
Jack, go ahead.
How many students are going?
5. I was on the team.
Can I make a motion or recommend that we get a bus and have them leave from here? We can't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
I always think it's, well, I
You
always
gotta think, if we get a bus
yeah,
or whatever, I mean, it's just asking for advance. I hope that we don't jinx them, but.
asking for what?
Advance permission.
Right now, all it's doing is asking for advance permission. If they look and cost effective wise, it's easier for them to do a bus and stuff, they can come back and ask us.
I always
do
like the idea of
registration.
everyone getting to the airport at the same time in the same place. That's all I'm thinking about as far as a well coordinated thing. Everyone knows how to get here and give it a shot. And it wouldn't be a big bus, it would be a small bus because
Yeah,
there's
or
only 5
or even with 5
Van.
students, it could be a van, it could be a rental.
Just if you guys all wanna look into that, if it's well in advance, then I'm just thinking of everyone showing up at the airport together.
I
That's
feel
all.
if they can figure that out. I don't think we have to make that motion. I think they can figure it out.
I mean, as of right now, we actually have more than 5 students going to the state competition, so it depending upon who those students are that can then go to the national competition, it's also the logistics of that there's actually there's more than just one team going on to the state competition. So, but then that winning, it's the school that gets invited, so even if it's not, those 5 kids, it's so
Yeah.
the logistics of just who the kids are, we don't have set yet.
So,
I would rescind my almost motion.
It wasn't acknowledged, so it's fine. Marion?
What's new?
So I see they're working on assessment of the Plastow Town Forest. If they have interest in other town forests, specifically Danville, I could put them in touch with the chair of the forestry committee.
Alright, great, thank you.
It's my husband.
They have a working relationship.
told. If they want to expand the scope.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Like to make a motion to approve the overnight travel, the potential overnight travel
Yeah.
for the Timberlane Regional High School Envirothon team from July 20th to the 26th, 2025.
A motion by Mark, do I have a second? Second by Alyssa, any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain, alright, 8-0. Good luck to them.
Thank you.
After you cursed them.
Next. I know.
So the next overnight travel summary is for the outdoor club. This is a relatively new club, Outdoor Adventure Club. They are looking to take a group of students on a 2-day hike in the White Mountains. Everything is provided for by the Appalachian Mountain Club. They won a grant to provide for transportation and the lodging. The Greenleaf Hut and I believe the dinner and breakfast at Greenleaf Hut that night and the following morning. So it's the weekend of the June 7th and June 8th. There's there's 8 students going, a number of chaperones only because there's multiple routes that the kids can take. So they're actually going to allow kids to choose different routes and go and ensure that there's enough chaperones with them. But everything is paid for by this grant by Appalachian Mountain Club. But because it is an overnight, we are bringing it to you.
So they're backpacking for 2 days.
Correct.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I'm assuming, but proper safety is being like trained for this and
Correct.
everything.
At least one of the chaperones had just recently got wilderness first aid CPR, or wilderness, I don't know the official, it's higher than just wilderness first aid CPR. They're all CPR first aid trained.
All of them are.
All the chaperones are.
Go ahead, John.
So I had the opportunity to speak to a couple of students about this trip. During the Mental Health Awareness Week, there was a Timberlane community impact event at the PAC, and a lot of the clubs had posters there and were explaining things, and there was a student there that was explaining all the amazing adventures that they've gone on. She's actually disappointed she can't go on the overnight one because she has a family obligation, but she was still there well, you're a school board member, will you approve this? She was very amazing at advocating for the rest of the club being able to engage in this activity. And we talked about safety, and we talked about how you can just join the club if you've never hiked before and things. Anyways, it was a really amazing conversation, and I think it's a really cool opportunity for our students. And so I'd like to make a motion to approve the overnight travel for the TRHS Outdoor Adventure Club from June 7th to 8th, 2025.
Got a motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Dawn, any other discussion?
Just a quick question.
Yep, Rika.
Does the 8 cover the entire club?
No, it's just, that's the number of students that are going. I believe there's more students than just 8
There is
in
more
the
students
club.
than it's schedule-wise, not all of them could go. So 8 that
So
can go
these-
are going.
Oh, so
Yes.
anyone who wanted or could is
Correct.
getting the opportunity?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Any other discussion?
Sorry, Mark. I just did your-
Alright, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, 8-0. Alright, and the last trip.
And the last trip is connected with student council at the high school. It is the Vision Conference, which I believe the students student council have gone in years past. This year's Vision Conference is June 25th through June 29th at Santa Fe High School in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And there are 11 students going on that. Again, it's connected to our student council at the high school.
So 11 students, is that kind of common for this trip, or how many?
You mean that many students going? I believe it's fairly common. I believe it's, in years past, it's been around that same number.
Is this a new name for the LEAD conferences?
I think the Vision Conference might be like a new take on it. But it's similar to that work that they've been doing, that leadership conference.
Probably the same crew, I'm saying.
Yeah, same group of kids, same type of leadership activities and things that they were doing.
Okay, someone wanna make a motion for this?
I move that we approve the student council vision conference overnight travel request.
Motion made by Dawn, seconded by Jack, any other discussion? Alright, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, 8-0. Alright, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice work.
Next is our vendors, and I believe Mr. Krieger, you're gonna be speaking to
Yeah,
this?
I can certainly introduce this. Frequently used vendors and policy DJE. You can find that on page 23 of your packet. A little background for everybody on the board. The Facilities Committee has discussed the matter of frequently used vendors at their last meeting, and they've also, we previewed the full board that we'd be bringing it here on May 8th for you for some common understanding. Really, again, remember that we've got 2 markers that the board had recently put some more restrictions on. There's a $10,000 marker for getting quotes, and there's a $20,000 marker for going out to bid. As we look at our past history, there are about 20 to 25 vendors that were typically pushing up against both of those markers, not for single purchases, but for the accumulation of items or services over the course of the year. In order to build efficiencies, we open these purchase orders. And what I'm looking to do in terms of the current circumstance, there's some times where we may push up against that purchase order and the next individual item we need to buy, a toilet or a hammer, moves over. Instead of bringing that back here to the board, what I'm asking for is the common understanding that I may have the authority, or the district administration may have the authority, to push that purchase over order, go and make that purchase and continue the operational work of the district. So it's really about opening the conversation and seeing, is that the common understanding here? Or was it the board's intent to move in a different direction? And I think that there are some folks on facilities that could also chime in. I know that they've had that discussion at the committee level as well.
Yeah, well, what the superintendent is speaking to is, say, the Home Depot credit card. Once we reach that $20,000 threshold on small incremental purchases, it then becomes, the process then kicks in that we are over that allotted amount. That was never the intent of that policy. The intent of the policy was big ticket items, single big ticket items of more than $20,000 would have to go out to bid. So it is not the intent if it's a local hardware store, if it's Home Depot, if it's, God, I can't think of another one off the top of my head. These $10 and $20 purchases don't fall under this. It's just the day-to-day doing business. And I would look at those more, I wish I had the list of those vendors. I can't open it up here. That those day-to-day purchases is just the cost of doing business, which I think falls more under things under the $10,000 threshold, not, it's just the accounting of it, I think, is where you're getting tied up.
Yeah,
Is that
and
correct?
yes, and allowing us to be responsive to what the buildings are needing or the kids are needing, and that we don't get hung up in the procedure to get it. We can just move and get it and install it, or give it, or show it, or
I
whatever.
don't
we need
even
to
think
do.
it's that scope. It's just smaller, those, if you need 3 bags of stone, or, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I agree with Jack. That was the intention. I was a school board member on the prior board that actually made that motion to decrease and increase overall financial transparency. The spirit of the law will be followed with this. The intention was never when you needed to get an extra box of floor tiles to replace them. And well, now that floor tile is $46 over that 10,000 K over the preceding 10 months. That was never the intention. So I'm in support of making this as streamlined as possible, yet keeping the oversight in place for those projects, for the RFPs, but not for a box of Windex. So with that being said, I'd like, any other discussion?
Yes,
Any other thoughts?
Can I just at some point in time just send me a copy of that list?
Sure.
Thank you. I don't need it today or tomorrow.
I'd like to make a motion to allow the superintendent to extend the total purchase order beyond the initial 10,000 when required to respond to ongoing needs for individual items and services identified across the district.
Motion made by Mark, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shauna.
I'm wondering if we just can't amend that to be a little bit cleaner.
It allows him to do it.
Day-to-day operating costs. Is that, I don't know, that was kind of wordy, which probably for me to correct you on words, but.
I'll second that.
He said respond to
You
the
would.
ongoing needs. Oh, sorry. He said respond to the ongoing needs. To me, that falls in, it's similar language.
So my question is, should there be a hard stop? Unless it doubles in cost, unless it's 5,000 over.
That's why we said for the superintendent, that way he can evaluate it and be like, yeah, no.
So if the hard stop was say 25,000 and then they had to go and buy another $10 item.
So we're just back where we're at.
Yeah. I don't think that was ever the intent of any of us.
Agreed.
With that policy.
Motion was made.
And seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. All right, 8-0.
God bless you.
Thanks for that clarity. I think we're on D.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
CIP.
so CIP project prioritization, this is page 24 of your packet. And again, I'll like to do some overview with the board. I'm gonna have Dr. Martin present some very brief information and perhaps some specs. And then Principal Vaccarezza and Assistant Principal Brown are here from the high school. They're gonna speak specifically about the need for bathroom renovations there. And then we can open it up to a question specifically to the board. So to remind the board, what we have in the CIP list is there. These are the approved projects in front of you. You can see the dollar denotations that we have budgeted for each of these projects. Again, that shaded project, the board has previously voted this year to expend fiscal 25 monies. So I've removed that and revised the total. You can see right now that we're projecting for CIP is $1,250,000. And if you go back up in the overview to remind you, the total budget for that line is $1,892,200. So we've increased the delta that's there. In terms of project prioritization, there's a lot of ongoing work across the district, as you know. So we've got some questions that we wanted to talk through with you this evening. The first is if there's any preference to move on any of these projects. That's the question I'd like to just to set aside right now. I don't think it's the most important one here. But question 2 is certainly important. There are 2 ways that we can really go and attack planning for the bathroom work. They both include putting out requests for proposals or RFPs. One would go for an engineering and kind of more technical study first, and then result in us needing to write an additional RFP based on those specs. Or we can write a single RFP at the outset looking for a general contractor that would incorporate and roll into all of the other specs in the work. So it's the direction that we want to go. Do we want to do engineering pieces first and then build from there? Or do we want to go all in with the general contractor first? We need that direction. I would encourage you tonight, because it would help us have a prioritization about what that RFP is going to look like. The second thing that we like to talk a little bit about is like, because we've got an increased delta now in the CIP list, the bathroom renovation work we know is going to be substantial. Right now, there's a $500,000 number there. As we look to write that RFP, knowing that we've got an increased delta now, do we want to look to expand the scope of that work potentially because we know we've got space to do so? So those are the 2 things I'm looking to get some clarification for tonight. Dr. Martin's going to present kind of status on each of the 3 projects right now, and then we'll have the high school admin, and then we can have some open discussion about those 2 open-ended questions. Dr. Martin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to take these a little bit out of order. So the boundary fencing for the secondary main campus, that's a very straightforward RFP. We actually have a couple of quotes that are hanging around. We have the specs that we can use from those quotes for the RFP. It's really very cut and dry. Not a hard thing to do. The Danville roof, same kind of thing. We will need to write an RFP for someone to come by and take a look at that roof and see how and when we go forward. So that's a little bit more complex. Will take us a little bit more time. The high school bathroom renovation, and we've talked an awful lot about this. I want to just give the board, we've talked a lot about this because it's an important project, I might add. I want to give the board some perspective from folks, some industry standard perspectives on the 2 choices we have and how to go at this project. A project of the magnitude of the 200 wing bathroom, which Principal Vaccarezza has identified as the bathroom at the high school that he would like to see renovated first. We should expect to allocate 10% of the given budget for architectural studies and the design of that project. The architectural drawings, it should be noted, are separate from the mechanical drawings, the electrical drawings, and the plumbing design. Also to be noted, the Plastow Building Department charges $7.50 per thousand for the project cost of permitting, though these permits do go down in price with the larger projects. So if we are to not hire a general contractor in the initial phase here, we would then have to spend our dollars on these individual phases of the project. And I wanted to bring that to your attention. I think this would be a good time for Mr. Vaccarezza and Mr. Brown to come forward to talk a little bit about what it's like for students with boots on the ground at the high school.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. Obviously, I'm John Vaccarezza. I am the principal of Timberlane Regional High School. Tim Brown is the assistant principal. We're going to talk about it from 2 different perspectives for you guys. And I'm going to actually have Tim start from the assistant principal perspective with students.
Thanks for having us. So in terms of renovating the bathrooms, this is something that the students have been coming to us for a long time. I mean, this is where we're probably dating back to when you were principal. We've had dozens of students over the years come to us with ideas on how to make the bathroom situations better at the high school. So I think first and foremost, it's important to recognize the fact that this has been driven largely in part by the students speaking up, students coming to our weekly administrative team meetings. There's certainly a need that we've identified, but the students have been large advocates in trying to make this happen for going on 6-7 years now. We recently did we have at the high school climate and culture committee, excuse me, and there was a survey that went out regarding many topics at the high school, ways to improve, things that students want to see, things that staff would like to see. One of the topics was around bathrooms. What would you like to see to improve bathrooms here at the high school? Overwhelmingly, the students that participated in the survey identified that single stalls would make them feel much more comfortable, would alleviate a lot of concerns that they have at the high school. Staff that participated in the survey overwhelmingly agreed with them with the recommendation that they would like to see single stalls updated and renovated at the high school. In the general public now, when you go to restaurants and public spaces, you largely see single stall restrooms with a shared common space for sinks to wash hands. It's coming around a lot. It's happening in high schools, public spaces, restaurants. And I think that people are, now that they're experiencing that, they're realizing that, you know what, this is a much more comfortable, convenient, private way to use a restroom rather than a large restroom with 4 or 5 stalls. And really it comes down to privacy and safety. And that is ultimately what we're always looking for with our students and staff at our buildings, specifically the high school, but I know at the other buildings in the district as well. But using the restroom is a private activity. People want privacy when they're using the restroom. And so to have a single stall system start to go into place at the high school, one, would make the students and staff feel extremely comfortable. It's what they're looking for. It would help alleviate other issues that occur at the high school that Mr. Vaccarezza will talk about. But I think that it's important to realize that this is a project that we're passionate about because it's what our staff and students are looking for themselves to feel safe and for privacy on the day-to-day basis when they come into our building.
I have spent a lot of time in bathrooms as a principal. And I see some of the looks, yeah, I get it. I have gone to 3 other high schools across the state that have gone to different projects. I go and I meet the principals of the state every first Friday of the month. This is a topic all over the place, okay? From a safety perspective and everything, if you were looking at disciplinary situations, a large majority of them take place where you can't find students. And where is the place you cannot monitor students on a regular basis? When the Culture Climate Committee came here and talked about the work they were doing with Dr. Preble to you and sat in these seats, and you guys said, what would you guys like to have done? What was the answer? And they said, I don't even go to the bathroom. I hold it all day long because it is a comfort level. It is a safety level. If I want to stay and avoid someone, I have that ability, okay? Now, I get it that this is one of these things where people say, well, monitor the bathrooms, be in there all the time. You cannot. There's more than enough bathrooms, you cannot be there, and nor would you want that for yourselves. This is the thing, we're not asking for something that we would not all expect and want for ourselves. If you were to ask almost any student, are they comfortable in the bathrooms at Timberlane, or if they were comfortable in the bathrooms at wherever you want to go, if you want to say Salem, Bedford, wherever, there is a lack of comfort in there. There is a lack of safety. Students perform better when they feel comfort, when they feel safe. This is one of the keys in that case. All right, Abby, I don't want to put you on the spot, but are we saying something that has come about? There is a topic of, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I see her looking, and as I said, I didn't want to put her on the spot, but I totally did.
No,
Sorry.
you make a lot of points about it. Yeah, definitely. Not to interject, but I mean you can continue to. But
No.
at the end, but definitely during passing period it gets very crowded, and then it's kind of during class you don't want to go, and definitely I think a lot of loitering kind of happens. So I definitely think you make a good point with kind of the single stalls. I know Salem, like you said, other schools definitely adapted the single stall. I think that would probably be beneficial. I mean, it would save me time too, and people who just want to go to the bathroom need to go to the bathroom, and there's groups and gatherings. I think that's the biggest thing that I see And I think it would definitely help to like eliminate that to a minimum.
You know, this is a topic that's not, sometimes topics only affect, like affect a small portion of a student body. No, this is everyone, okay? This is also, while there is also just the perspective of the bathrooms in the high school are old and are incredibly worn. And if you wish to stop by and check any of them out at the end of the school day, feel free. I will give you a tour very happily on that one. It is what happens. And as we look at these things and as a project of you're making it safer. It's much more, with some of the places that I have gone to, and specifically I've been to Plymouth and I have been to a different system, which was Keene. And both had, the idea of monitoring the area much easier. The level of vandalism of those particular bathrooms went down dramatically. I mean, we got good kids, but even some good kids, they make bad decisions at times. But we want to make it so that they have the best opportunity to feel comfortable, to feel safe. This is the best way to do that.
Thank you, guys. So we wanted to remind the board kind of the rationale for these pieces. It's been approved for the board. We know we've got the support to move forward, do it. We want to remind you that this evening, but really looking for direction about how do we want to attack this first stage, because the first decision we make around the RFP will set the course for the planning of the entire project moving forward. So appreciate that continued input, guys, and I appreciate Dr. Martin, you bringing the specs, but we're really looking for you guys to engage in the discussion and give us a direction with regard to the RFP.
I was gonna say, you guys don't have to convince us, we're gonna give it to you.
Rather a good rationale.
I'll just say real fast, I had an appointment in Concord, New Hampshire today. The woman signed to me and just happened to notice my town. She lives in New Hampshire. She generally doesn't work in Concord. And so I made a joke, hey, you can thank me for your tax rate. And she said, what do you mean? So I explained to her I was. Yeah, I set myself up for that one. And she said, as long as you fix the bathrooms, I wouldn't mind. The pack is beautiful, but have you ever been in the bathrooms? That was today that happened in Concord, New Hampshire. And she has one kid's out of the school, the other one is still in it. So yeah, it resonates.
Great. I just want to clarify about the processing. If we went with the architect, could we still go with a contractor, like general contractor, after they have those?
Yes, that's the process.
Okay.
We may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
We absolutely can. If we went with the general contractor, they take care of all of they roll those costs into the cost of the project. But yes, of course we can.
Control your face.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. How's your
Mullet Jack and then Alyssa.
So I got a page here on needs, I got a page here on architects, a page here on general contractors. There's only one way to do this, and I'm gonna make a recommendation right here, right now. I was very involved in the building of the Atkinson Library. And what we did is we created an architectural selection committee. And what I would recommend doing is putting out for RFP to architectural firms. After we get all the resumes in and all the applicants, we narrow that down to 2 or 3 applicants. And from there, we make that committee makes a recommendation to the school board. Now, the reason why you want to do that is because if you want to there are so many options here that you can provide the students. If you're looking just for privacy, that's a simple, inexpensive fix. But what we're talking here is very complex. It's got to do with demo and tile and masonry and electrical and plumbing. So what you want to do is you don't want to go with a general contractor, because if you go with design build, that's kind of cost plus. And we don't want to do anything cost plus. So to your question, you pick the architect comes up with the design. That design then goes out to bid to general contractors. You want the architect independent of the general contractor, because the architect makes sure everything in his drawings get done to specifications, right? So he's on the job, constantly checking the job, making sure that everything is done per the way we want it done, to the code, to all those things. If you circumvent that process, you'll still be paying for the design. It's just you won't have those 2 buckets, if you will, for lack of a better term, of a check and balance. And please don't anyone take this the wrong way. I include myself in this. We don't have the level of competency at this level to oversee a project like that, okay? And I'm talking about the structural part of it, the plumbing part of it. None of us are plumbers, none of us are electricians, well, I used to be a basic contractor, but anyways. So that's the way I see that happening. I would be very opposed to going with the general contractor. And I knew from the very onset when we started this project that this was gonna be more of a process than it was gonna be a dive in and get the ball rolling. As much as I am not questioning the need for the renovations of the bathrooms. I am not, my son, well, one of my two children was one of the kids that needed his privacy. Okay, so I get that, I understand that. And like I said, you wanna put up 4-inch petition block walls between the stalls and maple front doors, you're done, you're out, but that isn't what you're looking for, and I know that, right? Because you were nice enough to take me for a tour and explain to me what you wanted. But we need to develop a budget. We don't even know at this point what we want, right? And what that architect, by going through that interview process with the architects, you're understanding their abilities, you look at prior projects, and you get to understand what they can bring to the table. Because they are really gonna listen to what we want and design something around what we're requesting. And that is if I've said nothing less in that's more important in the last 2.5 years I've been sitting here, it's this process. I can promise you that.
Mark, what
Yep.
did Alyssa?
He answered my question.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's
Dawn,
okay.
were you gonna?
Yeah, it seems like an architect is a great idea to not only design a particular bathroom, but to think about what the needs, would look like throughout a building. What would be the capacity that we have, to serve the students' needs and the staff's needs. And the space that we're currently using might not be adequate. So it's not just a renovation piece, it's a redesign piece. And so you need an architect for that. It's not a general contractor thing that you just say, can you fix this bathroom, please? Change the furniture or, make it single stalls in that space. We have some pretty limited spaces that we're using that aren't very respectful. I think we need more than just a general contractor.
Good.
Yeah, thank you. So Jack and Paul on this board, to the best of my knowledge, have the most experience in dealing with JCs, being JCs and running projects. I spoke with Paul right before he took off at the airport before the meeting. He was hitting a lot of the points that you were hitting as well, Jack, and felt fairly strongly about it. My recommendation is we do put out an RFP for an architect/engineer. On the upfront, that will be, a percentage of the product cost. But we're fooling ourselves if we think that there's a general contractor that isn't going to bill us because they're going to need the architectural plans as well. They're going to need the engineering plans, and they're going to pay their engineers and architects. So you either pay Peter or pay Paul. I'd rather pay Peter if Peter's interest is in what we want. And quite honestly, if we independently, my opinion, hire an architect or engineer, they will be presenting us with all the options they're aware of. If this is done through a general contractor, they will only be presenting us with options that the general contractor is comfortable with and has done before. It's limiting our scope, it's limiting our potential, avenues of finding a solution that fits for us, not that fits comfortably with a particular, specialty of this general contractor.
So
Wait. I'm gonna let Bree and then Mary Ann, and then you can go, Jack. She hasn't spoken. Okay, Mary Ann, then Bree.
To come up to speed, I understand phase 1 was going to be bathroom on the 200 wing, one bathroom?
Yes.
And then how much was there after that? Like, how big is the whole project? How many bathrooms are we talking about? Because if we're going with an architect, they should look at the whole thing. That's my question. In my mind.
May I?
Go ahead.
So there's a proposal by the CIP committee for $2 million of bathroom renovations over, I think, a 1, 2, 3, 4-year period of time. But each of the bathrooms at the high school are somewhat different. They're not all the same. And so, we could certainly bring that up in an RFP walkthrough and have a discussion with the facilities committee about, do we want the architect to look at all of the bathrooms? Are we gonna use the same firm for the entire, all 4 years of the renovation? These are all questions, right, that need an answer, but it certainly is an important point.
Well, I guess I'm thinking that the design should cover
flow.
all of these different needs. So if something would work in each circumstance, that would be preferable to this one's gonna look like this and this one's gonna look like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, I concur. And it would be interesting to see, if I may
Yeah,
again,
go
forgive me, from a financial standpoint, if we get a bigger bang for our buck, if we do it all right, at the same time.
Oh, sorry,
Jack, and then Jack and then Mark.
So to answer your question, Mrs. Springer, we won't know how much it is until the architect comes up with the design. And what I would also recommend is to ask whoever we decide to choose as an architect, if that's the pleasure of the board, to come up with a plan and one or two alternates. Because those alternates may be, we may see that original number and say, okay, we can't do this, but this alternate plan serves the purpose at a better bang for the buck, for lack of a better term. And again, I just wanna touch again on what Mark said. Construction industry is a pretty tough business. Everyone's kind of looking out for their own interest. By having the architect and going down that road, the architect is hired to watch out for our interest. And what really happens is the architect really doesn't work with the general contractor until the general contractor has been approved the project. So that's kind of how that, I know, if you're not in it every day, you'll understand how that works.
Would you like to make a motion, Jack?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. 3.
Three.
I didn't say, sorry.
Quick question, no. So it says the CIP line reflects the dollar amount of roughly 1.8 million. I thought that line was lowered because of the budgeting process.
The lease is the line is the process. We
The lease line with the
reduced
CIP.
$1 million of capital money in terms of the two places we can go. Just from the lease. The capital line is still fully funded.
So
Yeah, Jack.
I'll make a motion to direct the superintendent to put out an RFP to pick an architect for the bathroom project at the high school.
Motion made by Jack. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. Any other discussion?
And that would be inclusive of all the bathrooms in the high school.
Well, what I would recommend is this, again, put out the RFP, take the top 2 or 3 selections and interview them. And then you get to ask questions, it's a back and forth. I'd highly recommend you watching one of the Atkinson Library trustee, because it's a good process, because you get to pick their minds, you get to understand their perspectives, their conceptually where they're coming from. And
We will
it's
ask
a
that
good
question.
process.
Yeah, I'm on facilities, we'll
But
definitely ask
I
that
do
question,
believe
yes.
there's economy to,
Scale.
you said it, there's economy to scale to get them all done sooner than later, plus inflation, plus, even if you can knock off 2 bathrooms instead of 1, as opposed to, you just gotta look at where the numbers fall. And honestly, we don't know.
Alright. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you.
And then we have to also decide what we're gonna do with that extra, if we wanna put extra money towards this.
Well, I'm hearing that I think that just kind of got wrapped in as we're looking at and talking to them about either larger scope or smaller scope. We may think about stages.
Okay,
So
alright, good.
I have the clarity that I need. Thank you for that.
Yep. I already did that.
Okay, just making sure.
No, good idea. Special education, right? Is that next?
Yeah, special education planning. I'm really excited to talk through this with the board tonight. And we've also got 5 of our special education administrators as the admin team, including the prospective nomination that will be in your packets later this evening. So again, this is page 25 in your packets, and I'll start again with some background and bring everyone up to speed. Last meeting in April, I let the board know I was going to be bringing forward a kind of restructuring organizational plan for the special education department, and this is based on our efforts to align the voted budget with our priorities and resources for next year. So if you remember, beginning on June 30th, we have eliminated the position of the special education director. And this document here was shared with the admin team this week, and then again prospectively with all district staff, because it outlines the organization of the special education admin department. It defines their roles, and it clearly states a collective primary focus that the staff will engage in throughout and across special education next year. In terms of personnel resources, this is our thinking. We started with what do we have to work with. When we look at our total staff here in Timberlane, 30% of them are district employees that are targeted to working with 200 individual people. All right, so 200 of the staff here, 30% are specifically targeted working in the special education domain. That breaks down to these numbers for the next fiscal year. We have 59 special education teachers, 28 specialists, 4 admin assistants, 96 paraeducators, and 4 administrators tagged with special education. We also have Kim Rivers, who also serves as a special ed admin, but also as a building leader at TLC. This is the primary focus that we've crafted for our district, and I'm going to read it to you because I think every word here matters. Relationships matter. They drive colleagues to work together or apart. They position families as partners or adversaries. They promote student success or place obstacles in the way of that success. Primary focus across the special education domain next year will be strengthening relationships with one another, with families, and with students. Strong relationships lead to a sense of safety, belonging, connection. Those are 3 things we constantly talk about here that drive student growth and achievement. So I want to be very clear with not only the staff in the district, but with the admin team that will support this focus statement. The organization that we're going to be looking to bring in beginning July 1st. Ginger Drexel is going to remain in her position as Director of Student Services, but with a far greater scope. She's going to lead the Special Education District Administrative Team. She is also going to continue to work with the Student Services departments that she currently works with. That includes counselors, social workers, nurses, and ESOL. Ginger is also going to join the District Administrative Team with the Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent, and Executive Director of Operations. So special education will have a seat at the table at the Superintendent's team. John Verity, who you'll meet tonight, is going to be nominated for the high school coordinator admin position. John, like most of the coordinators throughout our district, is going to be focused on categorical programs at the high school. He's going to be leading training and evaluating staff and ensuring procedural safeguards for families and staff. Don Roberson is going to have that very similar role at the middle school level, again with a primary focus on categorical programs, training and evaluating staff, and guaranteeing procedural safeguards. Amy Daly is going to be working back at the elementary level. She is going to again be in charge of categorical programs for emotionally disturbance, for IN programs, and for NECC programs that currently exists at that level. She's going to be involved in training staff, but because of the scope and the geographic distance among schools and the importance of being in those vicinities, we are going to remain with the building administrative team doing the evaluation of special education at the elementary level next year. Kim Rivers will continue to lead a special education team at the early childhood level. She'll be part of the district team with Ginger and her folks, but will also continue to train staff, work with the NECC, and guarantee procedural safeguards. So these are the 5 folks that are going to be the folks that are individual staff that work directly with kids and families, can call upon and rely upon. And if that district team of special education admin is unable or cannot find that sense of direction or guidance or that they're going to need, that will come to the district team here, and the 4 of us, Ginger included, will put our heads together and clearly communicate out decision, coaching, or direction down the chain and across the district. The rationale for why I am organizing like this, and I'm going to read this to you because I also think it's important. Special education, by definition, is a student service the district provides. Nesting the delivery of special education services under the larger umbrella of student services reinforces the mindset that all of us are responsible for the success of our special education students, as they are students first. The intended outcome here is that we are not divided and separate with our work with all students. I had talked previously, I think Bree raised, there's some other smaller things that I'm thinking about restructuring the district. I would like to bring back an organizational chart so you can see these conceptual ideas and kind of a map and how that's going to be able to relate. But I have all the confidence in the 5 people that I've talked through a little bit of detail here. They're here symbolically tonight because we've had a lot of individual conversations with them and team conversations with them to get them to this point where we're able to build it. So I appreciate the time over the last month to make sure that we're building the places so when we make the transition, that we're setting everybody up for success in those roles. So that would be my intention, is to bring back an organizational chart down the road for you. But I'm happy to field what you may have here in terms of this restructure or things that I can make bring in clarity or focus for you as a board.
Any questions?
So just to clarify, because only one says, I'm looking for the exact wording, that they will be nominated to, so that is a current position that has been open for.
It's a current position that we have someone contracted in working for us. But yes, we have a highly qualified candidate we'd like to bring to you tonight.
And then all the others are current positions, current roles, that
Current
this is their
positions,
expectations.
Current roles, yep, but it's gonna look and feel a little different.
The descriptions in the memo you sent us have, that they're gonna collaborate with the facilitator and principal at the schools. What's the facilitator?
So the facilitator is a teaching position, Mary Ann, that's in our buildings. It's new to our district. And these are the folks that we brought here to establish the relationships with families. They're the LEA for the buildings. They're the ones running those special education meetings. We came from a model where our principals did that. And we moved away from that model because our principals they're not visible when they're behind closed doors in those types of meetings. So now we've got a dedicated folks to be able to do that. So it's someone at the teaching level that can also be a leadership or teacher leader in that role around special education procedural pieces. And it's someone that these folks can work in concert with to ensure kind of compliance and common practices across our.
So they're the teaching load and they run IEP meetings
They
as
do
well?
a couple things. They run IEP meetings. They also do some evaluations for students that bring to some of those IEP meetings. They also, in some cases, do some direct and deliver service to students as well. Those would be their three primary roles.
Who do facilitators fall under? Who's over them?
The facilitators at the buildings, at the high school level, they are. Can you help me out? The high school maybe is the wrong person to ask.
Kathy Pretty
Yeah.
is the facilitator at the high school.
But is that right now you asking for evaluation chain?
Yeah, what's
Is it
the
the
what's the chain
principal
what's
or
the
is it
chain of
the
command?
coordinator?
The principals are, because of the we have a part-time contractor in as the coordinator. The high school administrative team is evaluating staff. The facilitator is not, nor is the coordinator.
No, but who's over the facilitator?
The building principal
Building
and
principal.
and the
Okay.
coordinator at that level.
That's my question. All right, Dawn?
So, for example, at the middle school, it would be Mitch and Dawn.
Correct.
Dawn.
Pretty much, I was looking for that type of structure information regarding position, which I didn't have when, so I didn't know if you were like a lead
But I
teacher.
bet you would have liked to have
I
it.
would- I know that, like you said, when you have principals that are doing a lot of LEA meetings throughout the year, sometimes daily, depending on time of year, it does take you out of, being in a position to do some of the things that you have on your priority list. So I applaud that strictly from a principal's, perspective. And I started thinking about who would be the people that we had that would do those things well. And there were some really great aspiring, special education people, and I'm sure there still are that can be trained in ways to be able to do all the things you're talking about really well. So
I think two of the facilitators we currently have now at the elementary level were special education teachers that moved into that role. And it's a different role, and it's also a role of growth and builds capacity across our schools.
I think it does a lot for the morale of the staff to know, that they are being entrusted with that type of responsibility and they have that opportunity to grow in that way professionally.
Go ahead, Sean.
I just want to share from my professional experience as an occupational therapist, but also as a parent of a child with on an IEP in special education. Well, this makes sense to me because I am aware of the people and I can see this report, but if I was not sitting here in this role, this rollout is going to be really confusing to some of our families about who do I contact, who's running my meeting, who's really in charge of things. And so I'm wondering from you folks, how is that rollout going to look to families? Because you just shared that some of this explanation and rollout just went to staff, so they're now wrapping their heads around it and trying to imagine who they're reporting to, who they're communicating to, who they're responsible to. And I imagine that something like that would need to go out to families or some type of communication related to that. Because it's been a challenge this year as a parent at the high school, not knowing who to talk to because of the role, the turnover and the role and not knowing who to speak
As
to.
I think about the comment, Sean, I'm not so sure that it is about, I don't think that anything changes for families. Maybe what we need to do is more clearly communicate what the process is for families to begin with. It's always the special education teacher, the building principal, the coordinator at the building. Those are the three primary points of contact and should always be the primary points of contact. Nothing here changes because we're changing a district level of responsibilities, not a student facing responsibility or parent facing. But if we need to do some clarity at our building levels, if who are my points of contact, we can absolutely double down and make sure that people are very well aware of that.
I will say as a parent, I experience people showing up at a meeting and I don't know who they are and what their role is in the district. So I do think there should be some clarity, and it would start with your building team. So that makes great sense to me. But just so you know, that is something that has occurred.
Thanks for sharing that.
Speaking from experience, clear communication is always key and sometimes does not always happen.
For everything.
All right. Any other questions? Shauna.
Can I address Ginger? Thank you. Very simply put, thank you for, I've gotten to work with Ginger on the wellness committee. I see how amazing she is at the student services side of the house, and I'm really thrilled that you're gonna be a part of this for the district. So thank you for being willing to step up and step in. And thank you to the rest of you who are gonna be working with Ginger as well to ensure that our kiddos get what they need.
Right. Anything else for the special education meeting? All right. Administration report.
Could we have Sandy start and then we'll have Dr. Martin and then I'm happy to finish it up.
Mine is fairly brief this evening, just updating. I know many of you are parents of children who may be going through state testing this week. So we came back from vacation and had a couple days to settle in, and our students in grades 3 through 8 have started their state assessments this week. Those will extend into next week as well, with some additional time built in for any makeup tests for students who are absent or require extended time. But those are actively happening in our schools right now. So we'll be updating you on those once the results start to come in. Late spring, early fall, we typically start to get those scores. And beyond that, it's a pretty brief update. We just came off of vacation. So I think I'm gonna pass it on to Dr. Martin.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you. So let's see, where shall we start? Let's start with something fun. As you know, and I'm sure that Mr. Sapia will talk about this perhaps later in the meeting. The patio project at the PAC, say that quickly, is complete. I've loved seeing Mr. Stack's pictures on Facebook of the whole process, and really appreciate Mr. Sapia's assistance. I think everybody did at that point in time. And the inaugural event will be May 15th, next week at 7 p.m. Ready? Utter Chaos, UDDER, which is the Milkman's show band, will be out on the patio for the inaugural event on the patio, which I think will be fabulous. Utter Chaos, UDDER. During vacation also, I had, well, we'll start with the more somber piece of this. Many of you are aware, if you're a Pollard parent in particular, that we lost Ron Kokolin, the bus driver of bus 123. First student, to their credit, they're retiring the bus number, bus 123, which I think is really cool. And we just wanted to extend our condolences to Ron's family and appreciation for the care and the care he took with our students and the time that he was with us, which he started driving in 2016. Also on the bus, in the bus route, I wish Alyssa was here so she could hear this. We expressed our concerns to first student about not being able to track buses when the buses are backed up. And they are in the fall, we will be launching First View 1.0, which is an updated version of the current GPS software that has many different features that will be an improvement. I attended a Zoom Zoom meeting with the bus folks during vacation. Every year, your school's currently your school's code changes. This will remain the same, so you'll know that code every year. And when the buses need to be backed up, there'll be a backup plan and an opportunity for you to be able to track your student on that backed up bus. Obviously, there are limitations to that. If the bus goes down the road and the driver has a flat tire, and it's, that's a different kind of thing. But if we have a few hours notice of a bus being backed up, they'll be able to quickly move that into backup mode. And lastly, I believe I gave everyone an abridged version of the bollards. These are lighted bollards. We've had lots of conversation about bollards. If you recall, I didn't even know what that word was when I arrived here. If you recall, we have our fancy colored sheets with the initial proposal from EEI, and what we are proposing for you this evening is a couple of choices to make this process move swiftly. You can see the prices. EEI was willing to put 9 bollards on our project. Any of these bollards that are not lighted, right? We asked for some lighting and the delta between what their cost, et cetera, et cetera. What we would like is two choices for the board this evening. One is to look at the option of the last three, the 23 bollards, either lit bollards, the 23 crash rated bollards with no light, or adding lighting and crash rating, which is of course the most expensive option at the bottom of that page. Two choices being, one, to move forward with one of those or any of the others at the top of the page, or the second choice to allow the facilities committee to pursue other options and make a decision about the bollards so that we don't need to bring it back to the full board. We have Paul and Mark and Jack on the facilities committee. So once again, either allow the facilities committee to pursue this further or make a selection from this document this evening.
So what I would like to do is ask for a flavor. I'd give my opinion, but let the facilities committee kind of cherry pick that. But when I look at all of these, the crash rated bollards with no lights, I mean, the whole reason we wanted to put those up were for safety issues. $60,000 buys you a lot of lighting, right? So there would be other lighting alternatives. And before we did anything, but would you folks agree that that's kind of the direction, or just want feedback before it goes back to facilities to make that kind of final decision?
I feel like the facilities committee, we have faith that you all can make those decisions.
Unbelievable.
May I ask a clarifying question though?
Yes.
Just Jack, where are you getting $60,000? Just so I know where that
Yeah, the
is.
difference between
Oh, I see. Added, yeah, okay.
the crash with the lights, crash without the lights.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then Marion, did you have something you would ask?
I just thought when we looked at the page of bollards that they said anything on this page
Exactly.
would be covered, and some of those were crash rated. So what happened?
Minus lighting.
Right, minus lighting, but here just getting crash tested under the
Line 3.
Excellent
line
point.
3 under the 9 has a cost associated with it.
EEI would.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
That was one of the items that I want to discuss. Additionally, there may have been some misunderstanding regarding where they got their delta from, because as you succinctly pointed out, anything on that menu was up for grabs. We were interested in perhaps paying the delta for an upgrade. And what appears to be here, to my eye, is the cheapest of the version that we're taking delta from that. I'm not necessarily satisfied that we have a mutual understanding as to how that should roll forward. So with the board's permission to allow the facilities to continue to pursue that.
I have faith in you three. Right.
I think safety is important.
Yeah.
We should definitely go for the crash rating.
Yes.
Also, seeing at night might be important when you're walking. So.
All right, so crash rated, but I figure you
Figure out the lighting.
you three can figure out the rest.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. And that committee.
Very good, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Doctor.
A couple things to run through with you this evening. The first is the most important. I told you I was going to bring back some information regarding Article 7, which is the fund balance retention. To review, we had the initial position of the DRA that the vote would revert us back to a 0% authority of the board to retain any funds.
Okay.
Since then, Maria and I have engaged with the board's counsel at Sol, Leslie, and Kidder. We have completed and put together the full record of the retention fund balance, including all previous warrants, the meeting minutes from deliberative, and the votes that were cast in those years. I've also secured a letter from the primary petitioner of the warrant article that clearly states that the intent of the petitioners was to revert back to the 2.5% ability of the board. So what we are doing is putting that package together, and we're sending that to the DRA and asking them to reconsider their position. We think it's misinformed, and it was informed on a not complete picture of all the information. So that is our process where we're at right now, and I again feel really prospectively hopeful that we're going to be able to move that needle with them. If we're able to, a couple of facts to remind the board. 2.5%, what that means is it's 2.5% of the total net assessment. And those are the actual dollars that were raised locally. So it doesn't include adequacy, but it does include the SWEP tax. Because again, remember, although it's listed as a state tax, it's a local tax for you. So using that calculation, we've got about a $61 million ballpark in total assessment this year. That would allow the board, if you exercise the authority of the complete 2.5%, to retain about $1.5 million. That retention is good for 1 year. It can be used for an unanticipated expense. If it's not used in an unanticipated expense over the course of that year, it goes back to the taxpayers to offset the tax rate. I did a little examination of what we've done in Timberlane. So over the last decade, the board has not retained any number greater than $500,000. In every year that the boards have decided not to use those funds, and they've always reverted back to taxpayers after the next fiscal year. And you will not be able to make any determination over what percent, if any at all, until after June 30th. So the fiscal year is going to close, and then you'll have the opportunities to do that there.
Would we have a decision from, was it DRA? Did
Yeah,
we say?
by then we should.
I'm hoping by the next board meeting, Jack, I can bring the clarity.
It's gonna be really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on it? Because I know that was an important, before I go on, I'd like to.
So it says unanticipated costs. What about contracted services? Is that an unanticipated cost if someone new moves into our district?
That's a totally different situation than just paying a contracted service that was already in place that was planned for. You're talking about something that would not have been planned for. Yes.
Good question.
Okay.
Very desirable.
Yes.
Unanticipated is something we did not budget for. Did you have a question? Does that go in for this year or for next year? Like, is this year, are we still operating on up to 5% and that goes to next year, or is that automatically the?
So as the calendar plays out, you
Okay.
can't do anything until after June 30th.
Right.
So your 5% is gone, the ability to do that
Okay.
is gone at that date.
Okay.
So it's either gonna be 0% or
2.5%.
2.5%. And again, I think we're hopeful we'll be able to make a good, strong argument that it will be 2.5% for the board.
Makes sense. Thank you.
And I do very much appreciate, I should say publicly, reaching out to the petitioners of those articles in getting that writing in support. I think that's a community working together and making the agencies that are responsible for those things saying, hey, this is the argument from the local community. So I think that's a good exercise. Update on the tax cap committee for the board. I know we're slowly starting to put that together. Want to let you know that I did hear from the budget committee, and both the chair and vice chair are going to be the ones appointed to serve on the tax cap committee. So Liz and Karen will join us. I know Alyssa and Marianne from here at the school board. Lou from the TTA, the president of the TTA, is going to be there. Still working with the TSSU to get their representative. I'm still thinking deeply about the admin positions. I feel strongly that I've got a community member from from all three towns of Danville, Plastow, and Atkinson. I'm still looking to confirm those, and I'm still looking to make some inroads in Sandown and to get a community member from Sandown. That'll complete our number of 12. My hope is to bring back that full committee to you the next meeting, and then we can start hearing from the board what the charge is and what the calendar is. What I think that we've talked about in the past is that it's going to be a very quick living committee. Most of the work will be done in the summer, early fall, with the expectation of the reporting back to the board in the fall, which is during the budget process. So we have that information to consider as we're moving through the fiscal 27 planning. Two things on the revenue front to let you know about is that we did receive the grant, the money from the track grant, a total of $211,000. So that was awesome. We also had the ribbon cutting ceremony out there, so the tennis course as well. But that revenue has come into the district. And we're also talking with the board's legal counsel. We've talked a little bit about interest income that we've been earning that's specific to the lease. That amount now is $25,000. There's a whole lot of law and stipulation about what those funds can be used for. So we're investigating those things, but that will be a piece of revenue that will be coming back with you potentially with some recommendations. A cool student thing to remember, if you were on the board last year, you remember Armand Anthony.
Yeah.
He was our student rep. He sat in this seat right here. Armand has been notified that he has won the New Hampshire School Board Association's Student Rep of the Year for last year. He's going to win a fairly substantial scholarship. So
Good for him.
yeah, it's an awesome experience. So I think that's cool that you're sitting in that seat. Maybe we can do something similar with you next year. But he needed to write a pretty intense application. He needed to have some letters of recommendation from the superintendent's team, and also needed to do some oral interviews and things. So
Good for him.
pretty prestigious thing, so it's a cool thing. I'll let you know what happens with that. We recognize Cameron Stack for kind of finishing up the project over there. And I'll close with this. We were at the retirement party last night for the district staff, and cool thing to celebrate all those years of service. One of the folks that retired was a long-serving librarian. So there was some librarian colleagues there as well. And this is kind of what I got to hear is and you alluded to some of these things, all these author visits that we have happening in our elementary school right now, where people are, whether they're illustrators or authors, are sitting in the same room with our kids and mapping out like their process of creation. And our kids get to listen and watch that and like see what's possible from the roads. And then they told me in Timberlane, they used to have a culminating event at the PAC where they would bring all of these authors and have a literacy evening with families from all four towns, and it was wildly popular. So like, let's think about that a little bit. That sounds like an awesome thing to do, but there's a lot of, there's just seemed to be a lot of momentum, at least at the retirement party last night, talk about how awesome that experience is. And if we can do that, bringing four towns back together and having kids kind of perform, like getting first graders up on the PAC stage with high school kids, I think there's just an opportunity again there. So it was cool to hear about that stuff. So the grains are there. There's a past practice for it, but we'll start talking a little bit about maybe how we can revive that and bring something like that back to Timberlane.
Cool.
That's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you. Speaking of the track, we do have two letters. We asked Senator Hassan and I'm really sorry if I butchered this name. Shaheen. They were unable to come, but they did both write letters, congratulating us and well wishes and everything for, even though they were not there. Let's see, personnel reports. Shauna, you wanna do the honors?
Sure. All right, answering my kid about his homework. Children. Oh, wait, that's why we're here. To make a motion to accept the professional nomination of Jonathan Verity, Special Education Coordinator at the high school, and Christine Carter, French teacher at the high school.
Motion made by Shauna. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Alyssa. Any discussion?
Sorry, I thought we eliminated the French position. Transferred. There were two.
There were at one time 2 full-time French positions. One was eliminated. The second position is currently filled. That educator is retiring this year, and it is still needed, so yes.
Don, go ahead.
Just wanted to say, I didn't anticipate seeing Dan Donovan's name there. He was a student of mine, so I'm feeling pretty old. An outstanding, career at Timberlane, was a student here. I just so proud of him in so many ways. I wish him well and thank him for his service.
Absolutely.
Alright. Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Good.
And then Shauna, just to interrupt you for a second, John is here
Yep.
with us this evening. If I could ask John just to come up to the table. I know that you guys have had some experience with Ginger and Kim and Amy and Dawn in different roles, but I wanted you to put a face here, and I certainly wanted to give John an opportunity, John, for maybe a minute or two, give the board kind of some background and the expertise that you're bringing to Timberlane.
Sure, yeah.
Good evening.
Well, I have to start to say, it rained on my wedding day and I was told it was good luck. So with that bit of downpour coming down, there has to be a sign that says the right thing.
Are you still married, sir?
Could have been bad.
No, so I appreciate all of this. I will try to synthesize myself, which gets hard because I get so passionate about talking about kids and progress and growth. So I'm sort of a nonlinear educator. I started in business school, changed over to a psychology degree because I love the topic, graduated with a bachelor's in psychology, and made my parents really proud by working at Planet Fitness and as a short order cook because I had no idea what to do with that. So I sort of stumbled my way into human services. So I spent time working through a community health provider, providing outreach support for families. I then found my way into the juvenile justice system. I then worked in the child protective system, doing assessments, and then working with adolescents aging out of care that didn't have families to go to. Through that process, really it sort of came to light that my love of coaching and working with kids and helping set them up for the path forward, not setting the path for them, setting them up to be able to navigate that path, was really what filled me up and made me really proud. So from there, I continued and we had a decision to either start having kids or to go back to school. I would say probably my friends in college never thought I would step foot on another college campus, and now I have 2 more degrees. So things change and we all grow, and once you find that spark and that love, right, you really dive into it. So from there I went back to school. I worked in the Litchfield school system as a special educator there. From there I moved on to the Amherst district where I oversaw an emotional and behavioral disorder program for almost 7 years. And then the last just over 2 years, I've been the special education administrator for 2 elementary schools in the Brookline School District. Really what kind of found my way here is really wanting to get back to working with that older population of students that I really loved and really embraced and connect really well with. And I've always sort of had a mantra of students need to feel safe, supported, and successful to have a good experience. And when I look at the mission statement here, it really just speaks to that and speaks to some of those core components for me. I'm big on connection. When I worked in that emotional behavioral program, I mean, again, all of the talk of connecting with families, a family I worked with nominated me in the program through the Parent Information Center for a Family Engagement Award that we won, because I just feel it's so important for all of it. I think things that I do really well, I know I wrote it down because I wouldn't remember it strictly, but a strength-based collaborative decision maker is, I guess, me sort of encapsulated, because something that I believe not only for the students but for staff as well is that, you know, positions I think are replaceable. I don't believe good people in those positions are easily replaceable. So I think that's some of the role as a leader, to figure out where people are, where they want to go, and then help them to get there and really build that trust, that bond, and that collaboration between us.
Thank you. Welcome to the team.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. John, thanks for taking time away from your family and being with
Absolutely.
us tonight and with your special education team here. It's awesome to have you on board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shauna, the rest of retirements?
Yeah, okay, I'm back. Oh, this is a hard one, yeah. Make a motion to accept the professional retirement of Dan Donovan, physical education teacher at Timberlane High School, and thank him for his time and service and coaching and teaching and mentoring with the district.
Motion made by Shauna. Is there a second? Donald second.
Congrats.
I know.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain. All right, thank you for your service. Committee reports, we'll start with Jack. You just saving it for other business?
I got a list 10 miles long for you.
Don.
I saw that, Shauna.
I'm starving. Please no, Jack.
Don.
No, we
No,
can.
I don't have any other things for Jack to talk
Consider this
about.
Mike's.
So.
All right, I have nothing as well.
No, ma'am.
All right, Shauna.
I'm very excited to go to my first curriculum assessment meeting next week.
Hey.
I'm looking forward to joining that team.
Bree.
CIP has a meeting Monday, 6:15, right here. See you there.
Marion.
Same as Shauna, excited for the first curriculum meeting.
Alyssa.
I unfortunately missed would have been my first policy meeting today because I had a baseball commitment. I apologize, but I am looking forward to being part of that committee. Sorry, it's that season. Apologize.
I know.
It's every
fine.
day.
It's fine. All right, any other business? Besides Jack, hold on. All right, go Jack.
I just have one thing. I
Yep,
want to talk
go ahead.
to the Eagle Scout project ever so briefly.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, I hear a lot of things about Timberlane students, but I had an opportunity to be down there for a few days and watch, and not only was it really hard work, and it was, but the thoughtfulness and the caring that went into that was unbelievable. And the ability for Mr. Stack to bring in friends that worked just as hard on their vacation was impressive. They took great instruction, they worked their petunias off, and you know it was a success, and you know you have great kids. When I was driving away and I was watching him oversee his project with great pride, it was just, and it was this, I got this close to getting hit from lightning, so shucks. I know you guys would have all been wearing black armbands today, but no, it was, I'm very proud of those students. And I can't tell you how much caring and thoughtfulness went into that, so that's it.
Yeah, the pictures that we've seen online, it looks really great out there. It really
Pretty
did.
good.
All right, any other business?
And I just
Go ahead, Alyssa.
because we were I just want to make sure that this wasn't missed on the packet. There is a fourth person listed on the agenda sheet that was not listed on the screen here for the.
Make a motion to act on the professional renomination of Corey Surratt, special education teacher, Timberlane Middle School.
Motion made, do I have a second? Second by Dawn. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Thanks for the catch.
I did not catch it. I won't take the credit.
Whoever caught it, thank you.
I wasn't sure if that had gotten deleted for some reason or if that was an oversight. So
Okay, it's all right. Any other discussion? Business?
Just
Yeah, go ahead.
happened to get to the PAC last night and saw unbelievable middle school on one side, high school on the other, doing solos and duets and small combos with staff participating, supporting the kids at all levels. The camaraderie in that department is incredible. The versatility of the people that we have working with our kids, unbelievable. And the performances out of this world. I could not believe the talent in the music department in our district. Unbelievable.
We've got some great staff in this district, that's for sure. All right, do we have any other delegates or individuals that wish to speak? All right, we have no non-public. So, I'm gonna close this meeting at 8:39.
This is a record.
Good night.
That's a record.
that was a very good time.
We had good country.